Hi, this is Chris Young from The Edible Insect. It's the 1st of May 2015 and I just wanted to give you an update. The good news is we now have baby mealworms, so I'm pretty excited about that. I just thought I'd show you the whole of the cupboard as well, because I haven't really shown it from starting out when it's closed, so you can see the size of it. So basically there's a fold down door here, and then inside we have the environment and the different sections. Few things dehydrating in various places because as I've mentioned before, down at the bottom of the cupboard is a reptile heated wire which gives us and I've put it on underneath some glass that I found from an old hi-fi shelf, which perfectly fits in the cupboard, which is why I never throw anything away, much to my wife's dismay. So anyway, yeah, that provides a nice gentle heat which rises up through the different sections of the pans, and it also doubles up as a nice environment. And there's another one up there you can see for dehydrating. So I can dehydrate all of the leftover vegetables, which I can then crunch up to use as substrate, and that's what I'm experimenting with. So I'll just get the pans out so you can see. Start with this section. You can quickly see all the beetles in here. This is the oats. These are the beetles living in the oats with some carrots and potato in there, and they're dropping down into the pan at the bottom here, which is that environment is very dry, or quite dry. It's got some potato in there to create a bit of humidity, and as you can see, it's pretty much sealed. So it's quite warm, but it doesn't seem to be that humid. But there seem to be, a ton of mealworms that have hatched in there. Whereas over here, this next environment, again, I'll show you. These two top sections are just empty at the moment. They're going to contain mealworms of various sizes later on. But in here, you'll see I've got an absolute ton of beetles, and these are in a mixture of kind of oat bran and mainly leftover dehydrated veg. But what you'll see under this one is, I don't know if you can tell really, but it's a lot more moist in here. This is mainly oats and then all the frass that's dropping through, and there's potato in there, but actually it's, I don't know if you can see that on the edge of the pan there, but there's condensation in there, so it's really quite a humid environment. And there don't seem to be a different number of, certainly doesn't seem like it at the moment, any more mealworms or earlier hatching mealworms. So it's quite interesting. The humidity, I understood, makes quite a big difference, but it looks like there might be rather a wider range than we actually thought. Okay, so on the so those two sections really are where all the most of the beetles are now. What I've done is I'm trying to remember where I put everything out. Okay, over in these smaller pans here, I took the beetles away from here once they'd been in there for a couple of weeks, just to see, because these only have leftover veg. They have no oats or bran or anything, and then hardly any frass. What I did was I left the beetles on top of them for a couple of weeks, as I said, and then I wanted to see whether we'd get any worms in there, being as it's a different substrate. Now what I found, get these ones out so you can see. Alright, what I found is in here, but again, it's difficult to see, but this is the environment I've got in here. So it's mainly dehydrated vegetables, but there are worms in here as well. So again, really not very humid at all, and possibly less worms in here, I'd say, than the other environments. So I'm yet to decide whether going forward, when we have the next generation of beetles, whether it would be better to maybe have the beetles laying into just the frass that they create from oats, or whether we can just get away with reused vegetables that have been dehydrated with some potato and carrot to give humidity. I'm hoping that's the way, because then we don't have to use any crops whatsoever, and it is truly sustainable, because we always have the skins from our potatoes anyway, because we don't eat those. Right, so I've got a few beetles in here that I only just put in today, just because, as you saw, there were just so many in the other environment. I thought, well, let's put a few more in here, and hopefully they can lay a few more eggs down into this environment down here, which is, again, it's dehydrated vegetables. So that's where we're at. We have tiny mealworms. I can't really show you on the camera because they're so tiny that you won't really see them. But just to say that the mealworms have hatched in a reasonably short space of time, so I'm pretty pleased with that. And now what I'm going to do is, once the mealworms get to a size where they're not going to fall through the mesh, right? This is the mesh that I bought previously and was in the pans when I had the mealworms delivered the first time. Once the mealworms get to the kind of size where they won't fall through this mesh, then I'll start transferring them into other sections, like this one here. I'll put the mesh back in here, and I'll put the mealworms and the frass and everything, pile it all into there, pop it on top of the beetle section, and then anything that's really, really fine will drop through the mesh, and then with the movement of the beetles it should drop through down into the bottom section. And I just kind of do that every few weeks. I should end up with the larger worms only in the top, and everything else, all the eggs and the smaller worms, will keep dropping through to the bottom, and that's the plan. So if you have any suggestions or ideas or comments or questions, of course, then please leave some comments. I'll always get around to answering them. And be sure to check out the Facebook page, which is facebook.com/The Edible Insect, and also @The Edible Insect on Twitter as well, because I do pretty much daily updates on the progress of all this lot on there, but I'm only doing videos once in a while. So that's where we're at, and hopefully next time I do a video the worms will be visible for the camera, so you can see that the generation that are going to be eaten will be viewable. Until next time.